when we built our stack walls, we put in what was called a bond. And that bond was just these three materials, I believe, right here. In this case, the siding, no, this would be between the house and the garage. So that's the gypsum board, and then the rigid insulation, and then the plywood sheathing. But we left this space open. When we built this wall, we built it all the way across like that. And when we built this wall, it's all the way across like that. But we have nothing in here yet. And this tutorial is going to be to show you how to put the bond in. And that's a 2x12 with a rim joist. I call it a rim joist also. And this object is what we want to put in. And you can see it maybe a little bit better over here. It's a 2x12. It spans the entire perimeter of the house. I have a few more images, just maybe it'll look better to you in one of these. This is the bond or the rim joist that we're going to put in. It's 2x12. And this last look at it here is just this 2x12. So the way that is real easy to do that is we're going to go to the first floor. I'm going to change my, whoops, didn't want to split it. I want to change my crop region. And I drag it back all the way over here because all I need to see now is just the first floor, and ZE will show me the floor there. Now, to put that bond in, it's a beam. Now, you may have that beam loaded into your project or you don't, but let's assume that you don't. So we're going to go over to the Insert tab. We're going to load a family. And what kind of family is it? It is in the Imperial Library. And it's structural. So let's see if we can find some structural equipment, structural framing. That's what we want, is structural framing. So let's go in there. And what kind of framing is it? Well, it's wood. So we'll select wood. And then it's dimensional framing. So I have added some custom things in there with some bird's mouths and stuff. But for this class, I'm just looking for the, let's see, maybe we can just view this as details. And we're just looking for real dimensional lumber. Yeah, that's not what yours is going to be called, but here we go, dimensional lumber. That's the one we want, dimensional lumber. So we'll say okay. And it gives us a list of all of the dimensional lumber that we can get, from 2x3s all the way up to 4x16s. Well, right now we're looking for 2x12. So I'm just going to say okay to that. And now it's loaded that particular object into my model, so I can specify that. So if you were looking closely, you could see that the bond is related to the edge of our plywood subfloor. So if we put the plywood subfloor in correctly, we can use it. And so I'm going to isolate the category. And then I'm going to come up to Structure tab now, not the Architecture. And I'm going to say I want to put in a beam. And I want to make sure I select 2x12. So you have all kinds of other options maybe, or maybe you just have the W shape and the 2x12. So that's what I want. And I know that my settings here, I want it to be offset from the top of the plywood. I want it to be offset 3/4 of an inch. And I want it to, because when it puts it in, it's using the center line of the object. I have to push it back so that I want it to follow this line. But if I put it right now without the offset here in the Z direction, half of the bond would be on this side and half would be on this side. So these are two important things. We have to go down 3/4 of an inch, and we have to go minus 3/4 of an inch in this direction, because the 2x12 is really 1.5 inches. And if it's going to straddle this line, then 3/4 would be on this side and 3/4 would be on this side. But I don't want that. I want my bond to follow all the way around there. So I'm going to say, pick a line with these constraints. I'm going to hover over one of these lines and hit the tab key a couple times till it selects everything, and then click. And what it just did was it put those beams, hopefully, if I've got the settings right, it put that rim joist all the way around where I want it to be. So I'm going to say reset temporary hide. So everything will come back there. And we'll just take a look at, we can take a look at one of the sections just to see if it put that bond in there or not. And let's take a look here. Look at that. It put that bond in right where I wanted it to be, and it put that bond in right where I wanted it to be. So I'm going to go to my 3D view, and I'm going to crop this. So I'll go to the front elevation, and it'll take me to the front. Not sure why it's not doing that. So let's just do that. But I'm going to bring my, I'm going to bring this guy down, right down there. Let's see what that looks like. It's still not low enough. I still want to go to the front. And for some reason, it's not clicking to that. So I want to go, let's change the resolution here to hidden line so I can see it a little bit better. And I know that I want this guy to be below the floor line. So let's do that. And then let's see if this will work on a diagonal. My U-cube is not working right now. But here's what we just put in. You see this bond? We just put this bond in automatically all the way around. Did it very, very quickly all the way around. And this is an opening, so there's not going to be anything there. And there's not going to be a bond in the garage. So we put that in right away. And that's a very quick tutorial on how to put that rim joist into the bond area that we've left. And that's a good place to